Welcome to a Tuesday night episode, a podcast where we're going to talk about what happened today with Iowa football and the four games that were vacated by the NCAA. But first, I want to just say, hey, we are really smoking whack. We're well over 700 subscribers now. Keep hitting that subscribe button. I appreciate it. We love it. We love having you guys here. We love your commenting on the show. You're giving us facts, filling in the gaps for us. This makes a great show, not just for us, but for you guys too. And so I'm glad that you guys can be a part of this show when you show up. And don't forget to hit the like button and share it. So thank you, guys. We're ready to go. We're going to do quick right now before we get into football. Let's do a little quick update on wrestling because we got a couple of commits today, and Kelvin's going to tell us all about them.
Yeah. The one commit today was a kid who wrestled 132 pounds in a Jersey high school. His name's Pettit. And for some reason, he couldn't wrestle for a couple years, and this year he came out there and won the state tournament in his final year, and so he's going to be here in Iowa shortly, I would presume. And then the other one was a transfer yesterday from Lehigh. I got written down that he's a junior. I don't know if that means he's got 2 years left or whether he's got one. His name's Crookham. And he's been injured the last couple years. Some fans that know wrestling commented, God, I hope he's okay now. So and anyway, he'd done very well in college wrestling, before. And then there's a third guy that isn't committed, but he's down to Iowa and Michigan. He's from North Carolina State, named Zapeta with a Z, and said he wrestled at 156. And anyway, he's got 4 years left, and I guess he's very talented. Has wrestled on the world stage and stuff. So that's our little wrestling blurb. Dean let me get it out of the way because I knew I'd forget it if we talked for an hour about the other popular sports at Iowa. So.
Yeah. Okay. So his name is Ryan Crookham, the Lehigh wrestler, 133 pounder, as you said, earned third place at the NCAAs in 2024, and he has 2 years of eligibility left, according to this.
Yeah.
Okay. It says presumed 2 years of eligibility, but there we go. All right, guys. Everybody's heard it. Now it's all over the media and everything. What a bust recruiting McNamara has become. Okay. As you guys know, in 2023, the 4 games that he started, we vacated those 4 wins. Apparently, we must have won every game he ever played for Iowa.
I remember we lost at Penn State. So
okay,
but we must have went 4-2 or something. I don't know.
Okay, so anywho, we
by the way, the other teams cannot mark it down as a win according to the NCAA. So Iowa State can't say that they beat us that year. So
yeah, just like we couldn't claim the victory over Michigan when they vacated their wins.
Yeah, and Tom Davis, when Minnesota cheated and we finished second in the Big Ten, Andre Woolridge's senior year, Tom Davis, they wouldn't let us claim that we were Big Ten champions. So
yeah. So let's talk about this, okay? Today, let me find it real quick. I want to find this real quick. If you want to talk about why I look for this, about what happened.
The only news out of this today, which I consider it not a major story. I know Kirk and Beth and the University of Iowa ain't happy about it. The only news out of this is there's no extra punishment except Iowa is put on probation for a year, which don't mean nothing. There isn't any punishment to that. Just they better not break a rule. And then the only other thing was the vacating 4 victories.
Yeah. Okay.
The rest of the things that were listed was things that Iowa voluntarily took as punishment when Kirk set out that game. So.
Okay.
There was more. There is more because there's certain days, so many days that Bud Meyer, Kirk, and Iowa assistants can't go out and actively recruit, which I read that, and that's like laughable because it's like 26 days total for all their assistants put together. You know, you have 8 assistants, that's like 3 days apiece. And hell, they could put that in a dead period where they couldn't go out and recruit anyway. Say, oh yeah, we'll do it these days, you know. So, or days where they weren't planning to go visit any schools anyway, you know. But
all right, okay. So here's the statement that came out from the University of Iowa. I want to read that. This was I'm quoting the article from Blair Sanderson. Below is a joint statement from the University of Iowa President Barb Wilson and the Henry B. and Patricia B. Tippie Athletics Director Chair. Jeez, do they have to have these names in front of them? Beth Getz, in response to Tuesday's committee on infraction ruling. We are very disappointed in today's ruling by the Committee on Infractions. Throughout this nearly 2.5-year process, the university has fully cooperated with the NCAA enforcement staff. More importantly, when the facts revealed the violations had taken place, the responsibility and the self-imposed several significant sanctions, something few others have done. We believe the decision adding the penalty of forfeiture of wins was unwarranted. The matter is now closed, and we will move forward. So that means that they won't or they can't appeal it. Okay. Okay. Also, I want to read Brad Heinrichs, the head of the I don't know. Brad Heinrichs is actually taking the blame himself a little bit, I think. He says, to be frank, this happened before every player had an agent. Cade didn't have an agent back then, and to say that this thing infuriates me is an understatement. I take some responsibility for it, but KF is the one who gets punished, and I want to throw up, to be honest. This feels like being thrown in jail and being publicly shamed for doing 60 in a 55-mile-an-hour speed zone when cars are zipping by doing 70 on the average. That's exactly what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Why is Iowa being made the scapegoat and the punishment? Is it because they don't like Kirk? They don't like Iowa? Because it seems like everything that comes up, they've come after us, or they've not given us any special favors, you know, like not giving a certain football player an extra year of eligibility, or denying eligibility for a certain basketball player trying to get another year. Who's at, you know, and they've already set precedents that they should, but they've denied our guys these extra years, even though precedents has been set that they've given it to others. So this is really making me angry. And what else is making me?
I'm very upset about it, but trying to hold my tongue a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, because the other schools all along have been doing the same bull crap. This bull crap. And yes, everybody knows the SEC has been doing this bull crap for years. Okay. And now they get these agents. So now they can say the agents can talk to the coaches behind the scenes. Okay. You know, we made one slip up on an accident. I don't know why Kirk didn't realize that the portal wasn't officially open yet when he talked to, the quarterback.
The truth of the matter is the portal was a pretty new thing at the time. And it's like, oh yeah, we got this portal this year, and some kid's calling, and he's talking to Budmeyer or whatever, you know. And so Budmeyer hands the phone to Kirk. They broke the rules, but it wasn't. It isn't no major deal. I sent a voicemail to your guys' the messenger here on here today that if they treated other coaches like this, Nick Saban, who I know was cheating, he'd have 0 wins at Alabama. If they treat, it's the truth, because I trained a kid that was being recruited that had been recruited by him. He said he got offered money.
Yeah.
Well,
let's also face this, okay? Proctor, when he came back to Iowa and then decided to go back to Alabama, he sat there and said that he went and drove down and talked to the coach before he actually left Iowa. Talked to the coach to see if he could come back. And the coach says, of course. There's tampering. You're talking to a kid who wasn't even in the portal yet. And and he couldn't be in the portal, and I think at that time until April or May.
Yeah.
Okay. There's tampering. So shouldn't Alabama be punished for every game that Proctor played since that moment?
Another thing I said was that every major coach at every program, and I'm talking about major coaches at the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10 are sitting there saying that this is like Kirk Ferentz is the most pure coach heading up about any program. He's about the most pure coach, and they're sitting there and thinking about all the crap they do, and they're just like shaking their heads and laughing. Like, this is ridiculous. And I expect some of them will probably speak up a little bit and say this is ridiculous. It's like they're I'm not comparing Kirk to Jesus because that's blasphemy, but in comparison, Kirk is like a Jesus type person, and these other programs are like Barabbas, and the NCAA set it up so Barabbas is set free, and Kirk, it isn't a crucifixion, but he's getting some nails put in him, And to me, it's a perfect analogy. That's how bad this is.
Yeah. Well, on the Kirk haters are using this opportunity to flood the internet with this is cause to him for him to be fired, so he needs to be fired.
And it's very, and of course the Tootsie Rolls that hate Bud Meyer.
Yeah, they're using that too for Bud Meyer.
Yeah, it's like how can you hate people like that? I don't understand it, Dean. I just don't, But anyway.
Okay, so here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to put this up here real quick. T-Hink, we're going to get to that in just a couple of minutes. We're going to finish this football story first, and then we'll move on to men's intel. Okay, so question. All right. What does this do if we vacate 4 wins? Does this hurt Kirk's record of being the Big Ten's most winningest coach?
No, he lost. He's still ahead of Woody after they took the 4 off, and he's still, which I don't care about that Hall of Fame win percentage thing, but he's still above it yet. I think what Kirk will do now is stay longer and coach. And he'll break Woody Hayes's Big Ten conference. Well, if you just count the Big Ten conference wins only, Kirk's behind him like by 18 wins or something like that. And I think Kirk will stick around and be a little more stubborn about staying longer, is what I think.
All righty. Okay, so that's all the information we have. It's just probation for a year. You said some not leaving campus a few times for recruiting. They still get to go to a bowl. They just lose the 4 games, which I will be interesting to see how Iowa puts that in their record book. Win in parentheses and vacate.
They'll probably do like the media and Penn State does. They still show Joe Paterno with, he got 400 wins or something, when the NCAA actually took away like 150 of them. So I see they still list Joe Paterno with like 92 Big Ten wins when if they were taken away from him, he should have 0. But
yeah, there you go.
But
there you
anyway,
go.
they'll probably reinstate Kirk's wins in a couple years, probably. So.
All right, so let's move on to the men basketball. Since we already had a question. Okay.
So what's the question?
Well, the question is we want to. Oh shoot! I forgot to put the one guy's picture up. Dang it! I knew I was short one. Okay, McGeever. People are saying they're feeling pretty good about him. Do we have him or not? The 7'2" guy.
They're feeling very good about him. The bad news is that Michigan is offering him a lot of money now, but
Michigan's already got a couple 7-footers. So Michigan, are they trying to and they won the national championship, so they don't have to be Illinois. They don't have to get a bunch of 7-footers and be Illinois.
No, they don't.
They already beat Illinois a couple times this year.
But anyway, McGeever, I think it's looking really good. And I think it's looking really good for Shinarki or whatever his name is. Was he from Belmont?
This guy?
I can't see, Dean.
It doesn't have his name on here, and I don't know what his name is, but this is the Belmont guy.
Oh yeah. Well, that's him. He's like 6'10", but he's got long arms and he's very tough. It was pretty cool that we started late tonight because the guy on Rob Brooks's show, his sidekick, does that conference's games. And he said he's the kid that you'll hate because he shoots 46% from the free throw line. But he said he's the toughest rebounder, physical. He fouls out of about every game. But he said he's also a great passer. So they said that team Belmont lost their point guard, and in one game he filled in as a kind of the instigator for the offense, and they said he had like 12 assists or something like that. But I think we're looking good with him too, but I don't know what Ben's thinking. The third big guy is that Frew guy from Louisville. I haven't heard, Ben don't tell nobody nothing, and
yeah, they were talking about that today in one of the podcasts I was listening, that Ben keeps everything to himself, and he asked the recruits to do that too.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we're not hearing anything doesn't mean anything at this point, because that's just the way Ben recruits, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Did that Jay Hink have any questions?
No, he just wants to know. He wants to know if we had any intel, any players coming in for the men's. Here's another one that you sent me, Evans. He's supposed to be a pretty solid point guard. I think, judging by his colors, he must be out of North Carolina.
Yeah, he was at Colorado State and played for Medved to coach up to Minnesota. And last year he went to North Carolina, and the North Carolina coach didn't know how to use him. He's at Minnesota visiting as we speak, and I think
people think that Minnesota has the upper hand on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, he's supposed to be at Iowa in a matter of 24 hours or something like that.
It's only about a 5-hour drive between the cities in Iowa City. So, yeah, he can get there.
Yeah.
Alrighty. What about this guy, Ace Glass? What a name.
I guess he's going to be at Iowa real soon. And
Washington State Cougar.
And it's been intimated in the back channels that I listen to that it's looking really good for him right now. He was going to get a bankroll to go to Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt got some guy that's rated right above him or something, or maybe a high school recruit or something. Vanderbilt's got Mark Cuban money. and they're like stacking up women recruits and men recruits, and so it's looking pretty good for Glass. Would be my first choice of these four point guards that we've talked that we know.
What about
Is
this
that
freshman Tyreek?
Yep, he's at Nebraska as we speak. And then he's going to come to Iowa maybe next weekend if we don't have a point guard, sewed up.
Yeah. Now this says that he was like at Western Illinois or Illinois State or something, but he's wearing
Illinois
Illini.
State.
He's wearing an Illini uniform. Was he a member of the Illini at one time?
That's because the word state is covered up with the white stuff.
Oh, so they wear orange too. Okay, that explains it.
I think their colors are red and white, but
so that's supposed to be red and it looks orange on
I
my
think
computer.
Illinois State is always kind of covered something like Indiana, when you see them play.
Okay.
But yeah, and he's, Glass and him both have 3 years left. And the kid from North Carolina would have 1 year left. And then the fourth kid is the one from Tulsa, and I haven't heard anything about him as of late. He was another guy that might have was going to visit Vanderbilt or Auburn or someplace like that. But anyway, all four of them are really good players. I like Ace Glass the third the best myself from watching him.
You know what he could do for NIL? He could represent some glass company.
Yeah.
Follow Ace Glass to so-and-so glass company.
Yeah.
I bet there's some glass companies that would just jump all over that for NIL. Be perfect.
But it's being intimated that Ben has a little more money even more than we thought we did, because people are sending money in, I suppose, and donors. And
yeah, he got a huge influx of cash at the end of the year.
They're saying, don't worry about it. That
he's got
Ben
the cash.
is going to, and then when he gets a kid on campus, he's not a high pressure person. He just shows them on film how he would use them and what they could do in his offense, and then he's got a great bunch of assistant coaches that are very, very impressive. So I think things are looking good there. We got one wing guy, that guy named Barkley. And he was the one that started out at Northwestern, I believe. And but I haven't heard anything about East Tennessee State's where he's from. And I haven't heard anything about a visit or anything. He was just one of them guys that I think they thought that if Tavian Banks and Alvaro are both gone, he might come in. By the way, I heard Alvaro might have a visit set up to Louisville. Louisville's having the best transfer portal class in the country, I guess. But
who's the coach?
I have no clue.
Okay. It just seems like Kentucky and Louisville have fallen off the map, and they were always like, in the top 5 all the time. And then they, they're rivals against each other, especially when trying to think of who the two guys that were coaching against each other that are. Oh,
Calipari and Pitino were always down there.
Yeah, Pitino's with St. John's now.
Pitino coached at both them places, but Pitino, like he says nowadays, there are no blue bloods in basketball. Everybody's on the same level as long as you got a bunch of money, So everybody can compete with Duke and places like that if they got a billionaire, So.
Well, even Fran picked up a former Duke player, for his team last year. I don't know who he's got this year. I kind of want to follow Fran a little bit, but that's beside the point. We're in a new era.
Yeah, I figure as much as how much I follow all the information I follow on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If I started following other schools other than Iowa, I literally would be would be coming to my visitation because I would die. It's literally too much. It's almost too much with these portals and recruiting kids that are sophomores in high school and all that stuff. It's almost too much for me to put in my brain anymore, but I'm not a spreadsheet guy on a computer or anything,
Yeah. Well, did we get a commit
in football?
In football, I thought we had one in basketball too, a high school kid. I mean, I'm wrong on that?
No. I mean, yeah, you're wrong. We haven't had a commit since Kuhn in men's basketball and no commit in women's basketball since Soibert.
Yeah. Well, before we go on to the women's, we should probably talk about the one recruit that committed today for the football team because we already talked football.
Mm-hmm.
He's class of 27. He's a D-line, 6'6", 220, so that's pretty skinny 6'6" guy. And he committed today. So primary recruiter was Kevin Bell, and I believe he's our defensive lineman. Am I not right?
Kelvin Bell is his group coach.
Mm-hmm.
So his main recruiter out there, I believe, was I think Seth Wallace been covering it since LeVar Woods left. That's LeVar Woods' old high school.
Yeah.
I mentioned No Block. His name's No Block, and I said that was
not Block.
I call him No Block because I said that's his Indian name. He's impossible to block. So No Block, no blocking him.
They have him listed as a 5-star, unless I'm looking at that wrong.
3-star.
Okay, well, they show him 5 here in
his
profile.
He's a 3-star. Okay. We don't have any 5-star.
Okay, he was offered by Iowa State, South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and Michigan State.
Yeah, LeVar. He's the one that a couple weeks ago I said on here I talked about this kid, and I said that I was pissed off that LeVar Woods had showed up at his high school the other day trying to recruit him in his Michigan State garb.
I bet he looks different wearing Michigan State garb.
All I know is this kid's coming to Iowa.
Yeah, he's from West Lyons, Iowa, so he's probably grew up a Hawkeye fan and probably been his dream to play for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, but anyway, a tremendous get. He reminds me of the tall. What's the name of the Nelson kid that plays for Tampa Bay? It wasn't Matt Nelson. What was it? But anyway, he's a star for Tampa Bay. He's a 6'7" linebacker, defensive end that plays for Tampa Bay. That's who this kid reminds you of. But anyway.
It's okay. What? No, I was just laughing at something Vandy Chris just sent me. Okay. So I'm not going to share it because it's political. No politics on this show. All righty. So let's jump into the women's. Okay. We got a commit unofficially, but everybody's saying she's a lock. Amari Whiting. Okay. We talked about her. I think she's a guard.
She's a big guard. She averages almost 6 rebounds a game. She's kind of a little, maybe an inch or so shorter than Sida Folter, but very similar to Sida Folter. If I remember right, it's like 5.6 rebounds. Not a great 3-point shooter for her career. She's probably right around that 30%, 31, but a very tenacious player. She can play the 2 position to 3 position, or if they go to the 4-out offense that they used to have when Kate Martin played the power forward, when they had a starting lineup of Caitlin, Gabby, Molly, Kate, and Hannah, had a very small team, and Kate Martin played power forward at 6'1".
Yeah.
She could even play that power forward position. So she's
By the way, Kate Martin has a new team, right?
I don't know.
No, wait a minute. I think Kate Martin is still with the Golden
Valkyrie.
State Valkyrie. I think she's still a Valkyrie.
By the way, the interesting thing about this girl is her mother was used to be the women's coach at BYU, and her dad heads up some conference out there in the Western United States, I guess.
Mormon stuff?
Huh?
Nah, never mind. I want to read this from Chad today. Okay. Looking very good that Iowa women basketball will be adding wing Amari Whiting, a 5'10" guard from Okie State with 97 career starts. First 2 years at BYU. Whiting will bring the leadership in some defense that Iowa loses in Kylie Fairbach, with an upgrade offensively. Not a great three-point shooter, but can score 10.1 career and steals 1.8 career. When Whiting announces that will give Iowa 8 players in the 26-27 fold, it's first senior, because she will be a senior, so she's going to be a one and done girl. Still need a pure outside shooter. In summary, deal majorly upgraded with Carnegie. Stokey replaced with Mega Upside and Velisco. Fairbach type was filled with Whiting, and who can replace McCabe? That's next. These are Chad Lysicle's words today.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would, like I said, I would compare this girl to more of a Sita Folter type player. She's a strong girl that very physical, and a better shooter than Kylie, and just built more like Sita Folter, and she kind of Sita Folter and Stremlo were both like glue type players, but Stremlo's a way better outside shooter than this girl in the past anyway. But
Brenda says that the player you were talking about earlier is Anthony Nelson.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I meant to hide that again. Okay, cool. All righty. So here's some of the other girls. I'm going to bring them up little by little here that we're looking at. Bassett. Okay.
Well, that's a girl that we have not set up a visit with, and to me, she's going to be a WNBA player. Her name's she's got 2 first names, like something Ann Bessett, and she's from Canada, and she's from French-speaking Canada. I don't think she's from Quebec, but Prince William or whatever they call that place. And anyway, she's like a 6'2" girl that can and she's got a good body to her, and she's a great defensive player. She's got 3 years left. She went to Chicago Loyola, and she's going to be a WNBA player. But the only reason I got her on the list is Lysandra Barrett is like following the heck out of her, and cool. She just went in the portal. She was 3rd team all conference as a freshman, and she does everything: passes, defense, rebounds. Just a tremendous 3-point shooter. And I really want that girl to come in and be our be up there at the power forward type position with Wolitsko and stuff like that.
Cool. All right. Okay. Next one that's on Iowa's radar is Iowa State Kinsey Hare. She's already visited.
Yep.
don't know where she's at right now visiting, but I understand she's taking more visits. But where do you think Iowa stands with her? Do we have a chance of this girl?
I think we have a chance. She'd be the dead-eye shooter
that we need.
You know, yeah. And she got 1 year left. And I should know where she visited. But I think Oklahoma might have been one of them, but Oklahoma's getting so many players that she might not go there, you know. Missouri might have been one of the schools. But anyway, it's just very silent out of there where she's going.
Yeah. Speaking of silence, somebody broke her silence today. Cameron Runner has chosen, I believe, Colorado State.
Yeah, I sent that to you like 30 hours ago.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was when that came up on Messenger today from somebody else. That was old news, but
yeah. Okay, and then this is the other one I have here. Western Illinois guard Reagan McGowan.
Yeah, she hasn't left Iowa City yet, I don't think.
So she's in Iowa City right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all righty.
And I know Missouri is one of her stops. And I don't know if the other one was Iowa State. I don't know, but
yeah, Iowa State needs a lot of players too. They need more than Iowa does. I mean, at least we got 8 right now. I don't know where. I don't live in the state of Iowa, so I haven't heard anything on Iowa State recruiting yet. Where they're at with rebuilding their team.
They got like two commits. They got a great big center out of Florida that's like 6'6" or something, but she didn't play for Florida. And then they got another one from was it Kent State or one of them Ohio colleges, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in a whole different category than them, you know. Iowa is still, like I said on the last podcast, is still a destination school for women's basketball. You know, so
cool. We're good. We're hanging in there. Not a lot of comments tonight, guys. You could feel free. There's 41 of you currently watching live. Well, 2 of you just got off. But anyhow, feel free to put some comments up there or ask some questions. This show is as much for you guys as it is for us, and we appreciate your participation. You know, we try to show as many comments as we can. Sometimes I have to blow by some, but right now there's not many coming in here. So if you want to throw a comment out, it'll get up there on the board.
And you can point out, like today, I seen more really good women's basketball players entering the portal today. You know, they waited. It's been open for a week, right? A little over a week. You know, so
yeah. All right, let's talk about Hannah Stokey and the snub that she got from the WNBA. She got snubbed. I think, you know, she was at least a 3rd rounder, if anything. But I saw a headline today, but I didn't get a chance to read it, that she will go the free agency route in the WNBA. And I know if that doesn't work out, she'll go overseas. But I know that she wants to continue playing, and I feel bad for her because I think she was led to believe that she was easily a 2nd or 3rd round pick.
I don't know. It doesn't surprise me that she was. If she'd have been picked like middle of the 2nd round or on later, it wouldn't have surprised me if she would have been picked. And it does not surprise me that she isn't picked just because she's only 6'2".
Yeah,
you know. That's for a power player. But I think she'll end up playing in the WNBA. Whether she makes it this year with a tryout and maybe get some of them 9-day contracts, them short contracts when people get injured. But it'd probably be best for her to go play in Greece or England, like Megan Gustafson did or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at Megan Gustafson. She she caught on with the Wings early after getting drafted, but was cut and went overseas. And now I think she's 3 or 4 years in the WNBA nonstop without leaving.
Well, she's been in there.
Megan's the one that's on a new team this year. I'm sorry, Megan's on a new team.
She played the last 2 years in the WNBA, and then I think last year she was injured part of the season. And then she just signed a 2-year contract. Was it with a Portland team?
Yeah, the new Portland team.
Yeah, she's going to get like $500,000 a year or something like that.
Have you noticed that some of these new teams are being put in WNBA towns? Golden State and
when they set it up, because the NBA franchises own these places.
Okay.
The NBA always founded it. They did it out of goodwill. They thought, it's terrible that Cheryl Miller didn't have no place to play and everything. And the NBA had plenty of money. Michael Jordan made the NBA rich, and they thought, we'll have like 8 or 9 WNBA teams. And all of them, I think all of them went to NBA towns except for Connecticut, because Connecticut, is a hot women's basketball area,
Yeah.
But
that's Des Moines, Iowa isn't good enough for one, I guess.
Well, they ain't gonna get one. You better have a basketball facility now that seats 17,000.
Yeah, but I think Casey's Center now seats that many at least.
I don't know.
Yeah, but more actually. I want to say more. But you got to remember, Iowa had the Iowa Comets back in the day.
Cornets.
Okay, I said Comets. Yep. Cornets. Yeah.
Yeah, they had an ear of corn that turned into a horn as their symbol. But
yeah, that was there for 2 years until the league folded. The original WNBA.
Well,
I don't think it was called that, but that was the original women's league. Okay.
And the WNBA, the only reason I have interest in it is because of Iowa girls, for the most part.
Yeah, and that's me too. It's going to be training camp opens next week?
I don't know.
The WNBA. I think training camps open next week. We'll see if Lucy sticks. If her off season spent in Australia helped her nail down a spot, because with all these expansion teams and stuff, I wasn't sure that Lucy would be protected or not, or if she would have gotten picked by one of the teams, but I don't think she got picked. As far as I know, she's still a Mystic.
Yeah, but the Mystics had such a great draft last year, Lucy included, and they were very happy with the way Lucy performed last year.
Yeah.
And then they got so much talent this year in the draft. They must have had 7 draft picks. And a bunch of great players.
I think they had in the top 10. I think they had 2 picks in the top 10.
Well, yeah. Didn't they get the big Betts girl?
Yes. Yeah.
So
is there a conspiracy here that the Wings chose AZ Fudd number 1? Yeah. Because to me, she doesn't seem like she'd be a number 1 pick, but I'm sure Paige Beckers got them to do it.
Yeah, it was a setup. It was to me it was weird, but more power to them. That ain't like AZ Fudd is not a great player. It just, I looked at them players, and there was that 6'5" forward from Spain, that Pham, and there was Miss Betts sitting there at 6'7", and I'm like, who's harder to get, a 6-foot guard or an athletic 6'7" girl?
I would have definitely taken Betts. I think they did wrong, but I think they did it to get Paige Beckers happy, make her happy. Mm-hmm. Now the question is they're in a relationship. The question is what happens when these two get mad at each other and they have to go out there and play a game together?
I don't know.
Okay. Boy's back. What I say about Stokey? What I say?
Yeah.
Boy, I know you said she would not get drafted. I believe, if I remember right.
Yeah, there was Tootsie Rolls on the On3 thread last night when she didn't get drafted. You know, them people that pile on her because they're assholes, and you know they were. I told you she was no good. Well, she only got like almost 1,600 points and over 900 rebounds. There's only 3 other girls at the University of Iowa that's ever done that. So anybody that don't think Hannah's good, they can.
Yeah, I think
They can put that where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
I know the other, two of the 3 players are Gustafson and Clark. I don't, because Caitlin Clark got like 1,000 rebounds as a point guard, but I don't know who has been racking my mind. I should just look it up. I don't know who the 4th player.
You
would
know
have
why
been.
Caitlin was, as a point guard, was able to get all those rebounds? Because she had Molly Davis taking care of the point for her. So she could go in there and grab and pull down rebounds.
I think it was because Molly Davis, till her senior year, really didn't play much at Iowa. You know, so that might have affected Caitlin's rebounding a little bit, but Caitlin's a tall point guard with long arms and big hands. Caitlin's got huge hands. That's why I liked Emily Rodriguez. Just huge hands. Them girls catch the ball and they can handle the ball a lot easier than some girl with little hands, you know. But by the way, I see they're kind of predicting that Addie Deal's going to Wisconsin now.
I saw that. I saw that they said Tegan Mullaney and Addie Deal were going to go to Wisconsin. I believe that with Tegan. I mean, that just makes sense for her, but I don't know about Deal until I hear something. It's just a speculation. And
that was what was on these. There's a couple X platforms that are really good that you can kind of trust, and one of them said that, you know, the Tennessee and Clemson rumors were not true at all, and that she's going to maybe find a fit at Wisconsin. I think maybe find a fit at Wisconsin meant that she found out she wasn't in that high a demand, you know. Now, Emily Rodriguez, I seen where they said something about her might go to Florida, which she played. Didn't she come from UCF or?
Yeah, she played at a Florida school. Yeah.
And she probably didn't enjoy Iowa winters that much. But
probably not, because she's from the Dominican Republic, and so
I wish all of them good luck, but
me too.
I love my Hawkeyes. I'm going to concentrate on who's at Iowa.
Yeah, I will follow the Hawkeyes like I always do, but don't be surprised if I give Callie updates during the next season.
I promise you, Dean, I won't be shocked. So
I know. Yeah. Okay. Boy says Deal was overrated as a 5-star. Yeah.
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 But that's all there's other people that, of course, we all know that Jordan Spicer went to Oklahoma. I didn't even hear of any interest in Iowa. The Brown girl from Iowa State, the top power forward, she's only visiting 3 schools, and it was Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and someplace else.
So 2 up-and-comers, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma.
2 places with a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, when
I'm surprised that women's basketball or men's basketball gets any money at Oklahoma, because I swear they're a football school and all they care about is football in Oklahoma.
Well, you got to understand, in Oklahoma, Texas, down there in oil country, $1 billion is nothing. You know. You got a question or something? I see you reading something.
Yeah, Boy says Deals probably should have been a 4-star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's gone. We don't get to see her perform, and she'll play against Iowa if she truly goes to Wisconsin next year. She'll come to play against Iowa and just go lights out and say, "Jan, you shouldn't have let me get away. You should have played me." And Dad's going to be sitting in the bleachers going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," because I believe I believe this year Wisconsin comes to Iowa City.
Every time Callie Levine scores 15 points, you'll say, "See, I told you Jan should have played her." I'll tell you what's going to happen next year. I hope if she goes to Wisconsin and Callie's at Northern Iowa, when we play them, I hope Danny Carnegie, I hope Jan just sicks them right on them. Because we got Danny Carnegie is an All-American in college. It's not a high school All-American. It ain't. She's the best player in the state of Iowa in high school or anything. Danny Carnegie is a big deal.
Yeah.
I put her one day. I wish I had the technological way I could do this. I know Jason could have done it. Was the top offensive efficiency person in the whole nation was not Miss Blake's at Vanderbilt. It wasn't Hidalgo. It wasn't any of them. The top offensive efficiency points responsible for was Jelani Cambridge at Ohio State.
You love that girl. You always talk about her.
Well, I just know she's a great player. It's like I know that Caitlin Clark is not the best women's player. I know that Aja Wilson's the best player in the world. It's stupid to think anything else when Aja Wilson's a 6'5" off guard. But anyway, you're gonna get me all confused again. Jelani Cambridge, if you put her stat line up here, and I looked it up when Danny Carnegie, if you put her stat line over top right below there and you didn't tell anybody, well, which one of these is Cambridge's stat line? You couldn't hardly tell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, Danny Carnegie is a huge get. Well,
first team SEC.
Yeah, you can't deny that.
First team SEC, and the SEC has always been the best women's basketball conference, period. Here's Danny Carnegie, who's a great player, and she's on a team that finished probably 10th in the SEC, Georgia, and their coach gets fired.
Yeah.
That's how good the SEC is, but I just can't wait to see her play.
Yeah.
The Carnegie Institute of Basketball Technology is now in Iowa City. So.
There you go. We're gonna wrap this up because we're running late tonight, and so
we didn't cover Seth Wallace yet.
Oh, you know what? I forgot you wanted to do that. Did you watch his interview with Chad Lysico today? Is that why
it was freaking awesome.
Okay, let's talk about Seth Wallace.
Seth, Chad always throws out these what would you call it? These ideas that Chad has that he thinks that's the way it works, and he's talking about the great defense that Seth has and how simple it is. And Seth just says it's not simple. He says it looks simple, and that's why it's successful, because it looks simple, but we run a very complicated defense. We run all our zone blitzes, our man-to-man blitzes, all our coverages out of the same look. Mm-hmm. He says, you know how hard that is to do. And then they were talking about all his I wish he'd listed them, but he didn't want to do it to embarrass other schools. All the other schools that have wanted him to be the defensive coordinator. He said to Seth, can you tell us some of them? Well, I can't really name them all. And then so Chad named a bunch of them, and what kept you here? What kept you here? And he said, well, my wife's from here. I'm from here. My kids are here. They're 10 and 15 years old. And the grandparents are here. He says, I'm busy coaching football 360 days a year. And if the kids have a dance recital or a football camp to go to, the grandparents can take them. And he said, main reason that I stay here is Norm Parker, Phil Parker, and Kirk Ferentz. He says, because I'm nothing without them. And then
and the fact that he's head coach in waiting.
Yeah, and he told today that he actually calls the defensive signals most of the time. Phil don't do it anymore. I thought that was something I didn't know. And then he said another thing is why a defensive coordinator at Iowa wants to stay here is our defense could never be successful at another school. What? He said, no. And Chad goes, what? And he goes, no, it could not be successful at another school because Kirk Ferentz ain't at that other school. Kirk lays the framework of his special teams and offense, work with the defense to give a defense a rest once in a while. They don't run a hurry-up offense that would make our defense get wore out. He said, and then Kirk's main thing, and it starts with Ray Braithwaite in the weight room, is discipline, hard work, technique. He said if you tried to coach this defense at some lackadaisical some flippy head, you had a head coach that wasn't like Kirk, he said the defensive players would never buy into it. All the hard coaching they get the same hard coaching on offense and in the weight room and in special teams that the defense gets. So they feel like they're treated the same. Everybody's treated the same. You're expected to work your tail off, be disciplined. And he said, if our defense didn't have a great weight program and great discipline from the top, he said it would never work because it's so complicated. And what else? Oh, he talked about, his voyage through life, that, his dad was a coach at Grinnell and he went to Coe College and was a wide receiver. And Kirk hired him as a grad assistant, and Norm Parker really took a hold of him. And then Norm let him work with Phil a little bit as a defensive back coach. And then he said he went to Lake Forest, Illinois, a college, and worked there. Got all his recruiting roots in Chicago that he uses now. And then he said he come back to Iowa. They brought him back to Iowa, and he worked there as probably an analyst or something. I don't know what he did. And then he got a job at Valdosta State, and he said he was awful lucky, like Ben McCollum. He went to the top Division II college in the nation, a power. And he said we won the national championship at Valdosta State one year. And he said, I come back and Kirk let me, in 2015, I think, was his first year, and he got to coach special teams and help LeVar learn special teams. He said, I coached the punt team, and he said, I put in the Valdosta State punt coverage, which we use now. And then he said the linebacker coach left. And in 2016, I became the linebacker coach. And he said, every year I've been the linebacker coach. That's when our long streak of
minus 20 points a game.
Yeah, the average 20 points a game. They've never had a season where they've given up more than 20 points a game. He said in 2015, when they went undefeated, their defense wasn't that great, and they gave up more than 20 points a game. And he said, every year I've been at the linebacker coach, he said, we've been, our opponent's average score has been way below 20 points. And he's proud of that. And
Yeah.
no, he just loves being at Iowa. He said, if Kirk Ferentz and Phil Parker weren't here, I wouldn't be here, you know, and because he just loves it. But he said in the next couple of years, he's gonna have to take a flyer, you know, and try to expand his resume or something.
Okay, so he might be leaving too, unless Kirk leaves.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
Phil retires maybe, or
I think Phil retires when Kirk does, and then
that's what I think too.
We'll see what happens to the staff, whether or not somebody gets promoted within, or if they all go away and the next coach comes and doesn't want any of them. We'll see.
And he talked about a bunch of his ex-players. He said he brought in Nick Jackson to take Jack Campbell's place.
Speaking of which, Jack Campbell was there at practices last week.
Friday.
Friday. He came on a day when they only watched film over the practice from the previous day, but he said Jack didn't have a lot to say, but told a story. Do you remember the story that Jack told about when he was playing?
That's what I was going to tell next, was the edge of the seat.
Yeah.
The edge of the seat story. He said Jack was doing really good in here 2 or 3 years, and he says I was walking beside Jack out to practice, and he said I just said it to get under. Seth is known to say things to get under people's skin to make them work harder.
Yeah,
you know, he's a tough coach, and Iowa's got a bunch of them. And he just said, he said to Jack, you ought to sit on the edge of your seat at meetings better. And Jack Campbell told the story to the linebacker room this week that it pissed him off, which was exactly what Seth wanted it to do, you know. And he said, you can make sure that when I came back in the linebacker room to watch tape, I was on the edge of my seat every day. And he said, when I went to NFL scouting combine, or I flew into cities for pre-draft interviews, I sat on the edge of my seat, you know. So Jack was very teachable. That's why he's a great football player.
But. Yes, he is. And and the Detroit Lions did very well getting him and Laporta. They have Laporta now, right?
In the same year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he said Jack Campbell was slated to be a second or third round pick in that NFL draft. If you remember right, when they drafted him 15th or 16th in the first round, oh my God, people blew up. I can't believe they're drafting a linebacker that don't run a 4.4 40 that high, you know. But he said the reason Jack was drafted that high because he was so impressive in his interviews and all that, you know. And then I was going to say that they brought in Nick Jackson to be the starting middle linebacker. He was the leading tackler in the nation, you know, to take Jack Campbell's spot. And he said, Jay Higgins taught everybody a lesson. He said, Jay Higgins outplayed him and made us move Nick Jackson, you know, to the other linebacker spot. And he said, so don't be sitting there, you people in the media, telling me who's going to be our starting linebackers. You know, don't be sitting there saying, he didn't say it, but don't be sitting there saying, you know, you can name the 3 linebackers that all the fans talk about all the time, Weiskopf, Rees, and my favorite one, what's his name? From Winfield, Mount Union, the great young linebacker, number 33. Why can't I remember anything? I got my roster.
This year?
I got my roster right in front of me.
Your brain is finally going. It's finally going.
It's Lakeebo Buffington.
Yeah, Cam
You know,
Buffington. He's supposed to be pretty good college player.
He even brought up Kyle's buddy, the kid from Durant, DeLong, a walk-on.
Mhm.
He's number 31. He's got Jack. Is that Jack Campbell's old number? Anyway, he goes, "Don't sleep on Mr. DeLong."
Mhm.
And yeah, don't tell him. It's like you don't tell Seth that Montgomery ain't going to be our starting linebacker. It's you earn it at Iowa. And then Chad said, "Well, the defensive line ain't going to be very good this year." And Seth, that kind of made the hair on Seth's neck stand up a little bit. He said, "Why do you say that?" And he said, "We sure got a bunch." He said, "I know we lost all our starters, but," he said, "God, we got a lot of good defensive linemen." Like that made me feel good. That Iowa might win 10 games instead of 8. That.
I got him winning 9 right now.
Well, I've told you before, I predicted 10-3, and I wouldn't tell people whether it was 9 victories in the regular season or 10.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, because I don't know my rear end from a hole in the ground anyway.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to go back to Tampa Bay. I want to go to the playoffs.
Well, whatever. Want.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty. Let's wrap this up. I mean, you got any closing statements you want to say before we wrap this up?
Closing statements? It's like I'm on trial or something. Yeah. I don't know.
It does sound kind of like a court. You want to give your closing statements?
You got anything interesting you want to bring up before we go? Anything interesting, like some question, like who do you think's going to? I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
Boy
says we're going 7-5.
Well, that's why he's a boy yet. He ain't a man.
You hear that? Boy, you've been challenged.
When the hell's the last time? What's it been? 12 years since we didn't win 8 games? I mean, we got 3 tough games starting out the Big Ten, and then I don't know.
It's the West Division after that. We only play the West Division after that.
We own a lot of them teams. We own, and we're going to win 7 games. I don't know, but anyway, he could be right because I'm no expert. My question is, and anybody out there can answer. Who's going to be the starting lineup for Jan next year? You can even throw in a person you think we're going to get out of the portal. If you think it's somebody we're going to get, you're pretty sure. Or you can say, well, I think we're going to have these top 8 players. Dean, I know you haven't had time to think about anything like that.
I can do this on the spot. Okay. Chit chat at guard, point guard, and Danny Carnegie at off guard. I'm not sure Strimlow's going to start, but if she does, it'll be at the 3 where she can just shoot the lights out. Felisko at the 4, and Ava will be our post. How's that work out?
I think that's what most people are saying.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Rick has a comment. Taco Tuesday Wars in Cedar Rapids. 10 tacos for $10, not fast food. Okay. Send them to me. Put them on ice and send them to me. I'll eat them. That's probably authentic tacos.
You're in one of the 3 main Spanish states in the Union. You should get good tacos in Bakersfield, darn it.
We do. We got excellent Mexican food, authentic Mexican food in this town. We also got Americanized Mexican food in this town.
I know. I was in San Diego for a week, 20 years ago, whenever it was. And somebody told me, ride the bus and go down to old Spanish area of San Diego, because then you'll get authentic Spanish food. And I went down there to an authentic old-time Spanish food, Mexican food restaurant. And I sure liked American Mexican food better than that.
Yeah. And
It was
we got
it was
restaurants in
much
here called Tex-Mex. You ever heard of Tex-Mex restaurants?
never.
Combination of Mexico and Texas food.
The food that I had though, Dean, was much blander.
Because I would not eat bland food. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know at my age I should be looking at bland food, but I'm not. Boy says no stable ... quarterbacks. So I'm thinking he thinks we have not a decent quarterback going. This sounds funny because I took my hearing aids out because they were itching my ears, and now this sounds funny coming back because now I sound like I'm talking inside myself.
Yeah. The my thing with that is I think our quarterback position is in the best shape it's been entering a season since Nate Stanley's been here. Last year we had a quarterback who obviously wasn't ready to play until the fourth, fifth game. And this year we got, I got faith in Jimmy Sullivan or Fitzgerald. I got faith in 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them's going to be anywhere near the top half of the Big Ten, but with our offensive line and our wide receivers this year and our tight ends and our running backs, we don't have to have a quarterback that throws for 3,500 yards.
We didn't last year.
No, I think our quarterback position's in much better shape than it was last year because how many? This is the first year Tim Lester's had quarterbacks that's actually been in the system for more than a year.
I got a question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
2 years ago, well, it'll be 2 years. A year ago, before we used like 4 different quarterbacks, right? Because we kept getting quarterbacks injured all the way down until Shaggy was our quarterback, and still the only undefeated quarterback we've got. But or had. Can Jimmy and what's his name, son, Fitzgerald? If they get down that low, can they carry the team?
No. I don't think Hecklinski or Hank Brown can carry the team. My point is at Iowa, you don't have to carry the team. I don't think Nate Stanley ever carried the team. Probably, you don't have a quarterback that carries the team. You have a team that carries the team. That's my point.
Okay,
yeah.
Alrighty, I get what you're saying.
I think that if these kids that are 3rd and 4th string, that after this spring, Dean, when you get to the fall, for the first 2 weeks of fall practice, they're going to get to run the offense. After the first 2 weeks of the season, then it's going to be, Hank Brown and Hecklinski are going to share the snaps. But I think our 3rd and 4th string quarterback, Jimmy Sullivan, very good combination runner passer. Very good. And Fitzgerald's kind of a Gronk type player. Very smart. But if they got the snaps all fall, the repetition in there, I think we'd be fine. All
right. Boy now says quarterback shuffle the deck. The coaches don't really know. Well, I'm going to say this. From everything I'm hearing right now, we don't have any confirmation, but I'm going to guess Brown's currently the number 1 quarterback, but that doesn't mean anything in April.
I don't think any coach on the staff would agree with you, Dean. And I don't think they'd agree that Hecklinski was number 1 either. I think they have a 1A and a 1B and they're rotational. Every week they probably change their mind. But I think it's just like, and they're going to let it play out. Hell, Jimmy Sullivan's getting a chance. Everybody's going to get a chance right through the summer, right into the fall. But when you get into fall practice, any coach will tell you, hey, Hayden, Bill Snyder, Bill Walsh, you got to pick your top 2 quarterbacks, and then 10 days before the season starts, you better be giving that guy that you think's number one. I guess you can play two quarterbacks, in the first game.
Yeah.
One guy, Hayden tried that he had McGuire, Hartlieb, and Paholski in the kickoff classic. He let each one of them play a quarter. That was like disastrous. And then the second game of the season, he let one of them start. The third game of the season, he let the other one start. Fourth game of the season, he let somebody else start. And pretty soon they found out that Hartlieb was the third string quarterback, who could be Fitzgerald or Sullivan this year, was your best quarterback.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in April, though, in April, it's just basically training. So I'm sure all the quarterbacks are getting a chance to throw the ball. We've seen Fitzgerald in videos and Jimmy Sullivan in videos throwing the ball.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Fitzgerald, but
that's because people aren't taking him serious enough. They don't, they.
Well, I don't know. I think I've only seen Fitzgerald throw a couple balls in all them little dinky highlights, but in the spring practice, you'll get to see Fitzgerald and you'll get to see him. The thing is, they don't really play a live scrimmage or anything.
No, they don't.
That's kind of a drawback, but
yeah. By the way, Kyle has offered to take you to the spring practice if you want to go.
It all depends on health. There's days where I'm just sick as a dog, but
okay. All right, we really do got to wrap this up. This is late for me, so
yeah. Well, we only did an hour and 15 minutes, so I'm ready to sign off when you are. And Rick, I want to point out that Rick wants us, because I think he gets his children on Tuesday nights. He wants us to move to Wednesday, and I vote for that too. We'll see if we can.
We're going to move we're going to move to Wednesday. I would have done it this week, but I really wanted to hit the whole football scenario tonight. Okay. Coach Hackwell wants to know, are you standing up, Dean? Yes, I am, because I have restless leg syndrome. This is the time of night that it kicks in, which is why I'm trying to end this. Boy says,
Boy what?
Says IT Iowa 1/2 a season. Oh, I see Iowa 1/2 a season to figure out Sully was better quarterback than Fade McNamara.
Problem was Sully wasn't very good,
Mm-hmm. Okay, he's talking about the original Sully. Okay.
I'm talking about the original Sully who had made bad decisions, But
yeah. Well, everybody still remembers that game where he was running around wild, and I think he ended up scoring. But Coach Ferentz was chewing him out on the sidelines for even running like that.
And later in that game, he got injured and was out for two or three games, and Stratton had to take his place.
Yep, that UCLA game. He got hurt in that UCLA game.
A little hint to every quarterback at Iowa and every player. If Kirk tells you shouldn't be doing something, he's probably correct.
And also don't get a chance to play when you.
Sullivan, and I'm talking about the Sullivan who came from Northwestern, the transfer quarterback. If you keep running like that and trying to run over these big guys, and you weigh 185 pounds, you're gonna get hurt. And guess what?
Only Gronowski could do that.
I know. He's our man. And we better get off, because I can tell you're very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So. All righty, guys. I appreciate everybody. Hey, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Hit the like button. Please share it. Please share it out. We're getting some mad views the last several weeks here, and I would like to keep it up. Matter of fact, I want to say that we're getting so many views that it's actually coming up in my algorithm on my Facebook, not my Facebook, my YouTube. When I pull up my YouTube, it's actually there now waiting for me.
Yeah, This last one we did set a record for views for a long podcast.
Yeah.
Dean had a short that had 1,900 and some views.
Yeah.
The day Callie left and Addie left.
Yep.
But I don't know if we quite hit the 1,600 views or not, but I hope so.
Yeah. That'd be a nice goal. Try to get to 2,000. See if we can get over 2,000 view guys. That would be great. Also, I wanted to point out that we must have hit the big time because while I was replaying our podcast back, commercials popped up. Yay! We hit the big time. We get YouTube commercials now.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys all. We'll probably wait until the weekends, and unless something big happens like it did today,
there's going to be big
back
things
until
happening.
Sunday. We'll be back Sunday.
There's going to be some big portal commitments this week. Probably about 5 of them. So
we'll come back and do those.
Yeah.
Any portal commits, we'll get those done. All right, everybody. Take care. Go Hawks.